RDG Books is proud to present Relax and Chat, Episode 8, hosted by writer Rod Gilley. Our guest today is Kristina Stanley. Combining her degree in computer mathematics with her success as a best-selling, award-winning author and fiction editor, Kristina Stanley founded FICTIONARY and is the CEO. Hi, Kristina. How are you doing today?
Hi, Rod. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Oh, just fine. Getting ready for the holidays.
I can see that from the lovely things behind you. Looks much better than my boring office.
Well, I'm sure the audience would like to know a little bit about you. By now in the video, they know that you're a CEO. What are you when you're not a CEO?
When I'm not a CEO, I'm a volunteer puppy trainer for the Canadian Guide Dogs for the Blind. So I train and raise guide dog puppies. That takes every day I have to pay attention to it. And I have dogs with me 24/7. And I keep each dog for about a year and a half. So that is what I do when I'm not CEOing.
I imagine CEOing keeps you pretty busy though, doesn't it?
It really does. But with the way technology is today, and because it's my own company, I work from home, and I have employees all over the world. And so, I can work for a bit and then do something else for a bit and then work for a bit. And so it's a really nice way to, I think, healthily work, in that, I'll get up and work for 2 hours and then I'll go and do some dog training, and it's a different brain activity, and it's outside and it's active, and then you come back. And so I don't know, I really like the lifestyle of mixing.
Oh yeah.
Having my own company and having a life too.
Well, if you're comfortable, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, this first one I really am interested in. How was the idea of creating FICTIONARY born?
Yeah, so I was living on a sailboat at the time. My husband and I, we sailed from from Toronto down to Aruba and back. And during that time, I wrote 4 books. I got an agent, I got a publisher, but I could work on my Mac. I had no space. So I couldn't have a dining room table or a wall where I could put stuff up, or sticky notes. I had to do everything on my computer. So I went to Excel spreadsheets as I was learning how to self-edit my own novel. And so I built this crazy thing of spreadsheets that was 96 columns wide and connected with other sub sheets, and then drew graphs and drew my story arc and my word count per scene, all that stuff. So I put it all in there. I have a background in math, so I worked out all my formulas and all that. And one day my husband walked by me and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm writing." He's like, "In Excel, are you?" I'm like, "Yes, I am. That's what I'm doing." And he's like, "Well, why?" And so I explained, my process and how I edit, and how it's impossible to keep that many story elements in your head and look at 80,000 words in a Word document. You can't do it. Forget it. I don't know if you find that, but
oh, yeah.
I think it's really hard. And so he went, "Oh, there's an app for that. Let me go find that." I'm like, "Sure, that would be great." So off he goes, comes back. "Yeah, there's nothing." And then Matthew suggested, "Why don't we build this?" And you're like, "Yeah, why don't we?" There was a nice little, I remember the moment. It was before we were on a long drive, and I thought, yeah. And we were taking 2 cars somewhere, and it drove me crazy because I can't even talk to him, So we have this great idea. Now I got to sit here for 4 hours and not talk to you about it. That's terrible. But then we arrived where we were going, and just decided, yes, let's just go for it. And so we did.
Wow. And it was born.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the second question I'd like to ask you is, I was on the internet, and particularly on YouTube, and I saw one of your videos that took me to the software you created. And if I remember correctly, either the video or the site I went to talked about the community, the FICTIONARY community. And to be entirely honest with you, I thought I was going to go look at a sales pitch for the software. I really thought that's what it was going to be. When I arrived at the community and signed up, for free, by the way, and no obligation to buy the software, and I found all of these, what I term real writers. I found honest people really trying to work and build their craft. And I found a lot of editors with very strong skills, more than happy to help these writers. I've got to say, very, very impressed with the community. And I want to ask, are you pretty committed to keeping it that way? Or, you know, 'cause
It's my dream, Rod. It is my dream. And here's the thing. So our philosophy around Fictionary, our company, and the community is kindness. That for me in life, I believe in kindness. I see it in my guide dog training all the time. The smallest nicety you can do for somebody else, if you make them smile in their day, is huge, huge impact on the world. And with so many things going on in the world right now that are terrible,
yeah,
I want a place where people can come. I want them to be safe. I want them to be happy. And I want them to create really great books out there that, you know, and without having to spend the expense of going, you know, to university or taking extremely expensive writing courses or, you know, whatever, you know, people can't afford it, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be given the opportunity. And so you can see by the faces in our community, we are really diverse.
yeah,
We have people from all over the world. We have people from all kinds of professions in. And so, you know, my dream is to keep it that way. And I've talked to, you know, the CEO of NaNoWriMo, how have they done that with their community, to Wattpad, how they've done that with their community. And the advice was, if you start out early with setting your values and then sticking to, you'll build the culture that way, and people will do that. And then as we grow, then of course you have to have moderators. We don't right now. We're small enough. We're just about to hit 1,000 community members. And
cool.
yeah, and so we can, you know, I know everybody's name in the community at 1,000. When it gets to 10,000, I won't. But at that point, then you have moderators to help you do that. And the moderators will be chosen because they have the same values that I do about kindness. And if you start everything from a place of kindness, the rest comes with it. We can all have opinions and we can all share our thoughts, but it can all be done in a way that's constructive. And it's harder to be kind than it is to go, wow, that's bad because of whatever.
Yeah.
It's much harder to go, you know, I think you have a basis for something, and here's some things to try. You have to think about it. You have to think from the other person's perspective, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
So we're trying to basically train the community that this is how we're doing stuff.
Yeah. And that really works. It's like the difference between a critique and criticizing.
Yes.
Criticizing generally hurts people's feelings, you know. A critique can be super helpful. So I totally get it. I like
yeah, I love it. You know, every day I get up and the first thing I do is I grab a cup of coffee and I go and look in the community. What's happened overnight? Because it's international. So there's stuff overnight. And then I read through it all and it gives me such joy. And I start my day and get to work.
Kristina is the story editing advisor to the Alliance of Independent Authors and was on the board of directors for the Story Studio Writing Society. Well, you said yourself that the Fictionary community is relatively small and new, but from what I've seen on the community, when writers hear about it, when they get the word, I would expect very rapid growth and a huge membership pretty quickly.
That's the goal.
Is the community, and particularly the software, strong enough to handle, like, you know, say it goes crazy and you get 100,000 members?
And yes, so the answer to that, I'm very happy to say yes. So we chose the Circle platform for our community for that reason. You know, we did a lot of research on what platform to use, and they are a super healthy company, lots of great people working there, coming out with new features all the time. They know how to support a community. And so we run on Circle for that reason, for growth. You know, we got to 1,000 very quickly from this summer, basically, till now. Yeah. So, you know, and I like to think it's because we're providing true value to writers and editors, and so they want to be there. On the software side, so I don't know if you're aware, but we just went through a funding round, and BDC, which is Business Development Canada, and Stand Up Ventures and the 51 are our three big investors. And as part of their analysis of our company, which is a very deep dive into the company, they looked at our software to ensure that when we're saying, yes, we can grow and yes, we can carry that many subscribers, we can. And so you don't get approved for a funding round without an analysis of what you actually really have. So we spent months, not just showing that we have strong software, but also that we have strong business ethics and that we have customers who love Fictionary. And it was actually one of our investors, before we closed our term sheet, said, Kristina, you need a community. And I thought, sure, let me just go build one. I said, sure, I'll do that. And 2 months later, we had a community, and it was collecting up numbers, and they were like, what? I'm like, well, you said go build one, so I did. And I'm so happy I took that advice, that it's really opened up our opportunity at Fictionary to talk directly to writers and editors and get real insight on how people are working and what are their struggle points. And you've seen in the community, one of the big things is people struggle with blurbs and synopsis. I think, wow, who knew that? But you can't know that unless you're close to people and get that input in. And so, we are really, really positioned now to grow. And that's our mission, obviously, because we just took a bunch of money to do that.
Well, as one of the writers in the community, I can say, you're right. 80,000 word novel, I got this. Blurb.
How do I take 250 words? Are you crazy?
Somebody picks up your book and looks at the back. That's going to decide whether or not they buy the book, and it scares the tar out of us writers.
It's really hard to do. And so we are now designing, having the blurb and the synopsis, the skeleton blurb, skeleton synopsis pulled out of the manuscript in Fictionary, so that people have a starting point of this is what you need. So that's kind of our next up and coming features that we're putting in, because there's such a big need for it. You can see it so clear. People need help doing that.
Wow.
And as soon as we get someone to, here's your skeleton blurb, they can write the blurb from there. Then it's their own voice. They can write it, but they need that skeleton blurb and that skeleton synopsis. And then off they go, and they fill the rest in, and then they can go to the word count, whatever it is, for wherever they're submitting.
Now this blurb and synopsis tool is probably coming in 2023.
It will be coming in 2023.
Awesome. That sounds.
I never give out dates because it's developing, so you never know. But we're trying to do it in the first quarter, but it's software, and all of a sudden someone will go, hey, and you go, oh. So until we actually I'm really, really loose on that until we have it.
Within the first 5 years, every startup has glitches and problems. It happens, and I imagine it happens even more when you're creating something on the internet. But from what I've seen, the community runs pretty smooth. There's little thing here, little thing there, barely noticeable. Would you say the software is the same way? Like it's pretty glitch free?
It's pretty good. And because we've developed such a good relationship with our customers, they tell us, like, we'll know very quickly if something's, hey, I tried this, and you think, what is that? Okay, let us, then we can fix it, right? And that's part of the beauty of being engaged and committed to our subscriber base, because they help us, and we have subscribers who help us test.
Wow.
You go and do, and we don't give them any testing things. We're like, go and just do this, see what happens. So we let them into our stage environment, and it's really helpful because, people use software in a different way. We may intend it this way, but then people go, oh, I'm doing this with it. And you think, oh, it's quite inventive. So then you got to make sure. So.
Hi, if you'd like to be a guest on Relax and Chat, email me at rodgilley@rdgbooks.com or catch me on Twitter at RodRod64. I do want to throw in a quick comment. I want to be sure that the audience hears this, and that is, on the community, one of many features I've found since I joined, and again, I joined for free. I wasn't obligated to buy anything. And I love that various certified editors, certified by Fictionary. These are people that really know what they're doing.
Mhm.
They will do these like video productions that are very much like this meeting, but with a whole lot of people. And they go over in beautiful detail a variety of different topics involved in writing.
Mhm.
And that alone makes this community invaluable to the
Mhm.
audience. If you have any interest in writing at all, go to fictionary.co and at least check it out. You'll be so impressed. Okay, there's my commercial for it.
You
But
know what,
I
though? I
gotta
love
say,
it that our editors are doing this. And part of our philosophy is, so we're trying to shake it up a bit. So some things we do slow and in depth on one topic. Others we do really quick. We're going to do 10 blurbs in half an hour. Let's go. Here, 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 here. Others are taught within the app. Others are a discussion between people, and because everybody learns in a different way.
Mhm,
So we figure if we cover the same topic but in different ways,
mhm,
then we can fit it to as many people as possible
uh-huh.
to help them truly learn something. And so it's, we're continuing learning about how to teach. My favorite book right now is called Make It Stick, and it's a great philosophy on how to actually teach so people learn, and we're practicing that in Fictionary. So you'll see as the community goes, we're trying different things
Uh-huh.
to get people, one, engaged. One of the things we do, is we never record sessions because we want people to feel safe, and we want people to communicate with us. And if we record them, people will go away and just watch them.
Yeah.
Well, that's boring. We have a ton of YouTube videos that people can go away and watch our YouTube videos. If you want to sit quietly on your own, great. But what we're trying to do is make writing less lonely. Come and join, talk to us, ask us questions live. We can answer live. The value to us as editors is part of the learning strategy. When you have to recall information on the fly, you have to learn it. Your brain gets trained in going and search for things. Instead of just always prepared, always just, this is what I'm going to say, the Q&A is hugely valuable for editors to beef up their skills.
Yeah.
And so it's not just helping the people who are there trying to learn, it's also helping the editors really get to know their subject in depth.
Yeah.
And so we're using a two-sided, we're helping both sides by doing these events.
And I can honestly say, since I started my YouTube channel, and particularly the show Relax and Chat, I can randomly pick 100 writers that I've spoken with. Out of 100 writers, at least 75 of them are shy, want nothing to do with a camera. They want their book out there, but almost anonymously. They might have their name on the book, but that's as far as they want to go. I was shocked at how shy your average writer is. Because everything I've learned since I started writing is that you got to put yourself out there. You got to get known.
It's hard. And so we're trying to make it safe. And you can see people come into the community, and then all of a sudden, a couple of months later, they'll pop up and start being active. They watch, they look, they see what are other people doing. Is it really safe and kind here? And then, hey, actually it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they come in.
Yeah, that's the reason I brought that up, because in the community, in these teaching sessions, not being recorded and being very safe, it's like any other environment. Once you feel safe, you come out of your shell, and that's awesome. That's helping writers in a completely new way that is going to bring them out of the shell, and then they want to be on a show like mine,
Right. And then they'll do something recorded. But we're really trying to get to as many different types of writers, and and I'm thrilled that we have such diversity in the community, that it's just really all kinds of people. And so you get all kinds of stories, and it's really good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just using a quick example, I love the British accent, and I hear that sometimes, and it's awesome. Okay, for the audience and for myself, I'm very interested to hear about your novel, Descent. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Her first novel, Descent, was nominated for the 2014 Arthur Ellis Unhanged Author for excellence in crime writing. Descent even took the first spot in Amazon's hot new releases and women's sleep mysteries.
Yeah, so that was my first book. which was really my third book. So when I wrote that book, I wrote it as book one in a series. And when I got my agent, I'd written 3 books, and they said, your third book is your first book. And I had to rewrite the whole thing.
Oh, fun.
Which I'm glad I did. So it takes place in a ski resort. I worked in a ski resort, and I was the head of HR, guest services, and the security team. So I had every issue, whether you were an employee or a guest. I dealt with all issues. And so that was the great storytelling thing that I got to write stories about this. So I did. Huge learning thing. And then Descent came out really strong. I got some nice #1 spots on Amazon. My mom translated it to German. We sold it to a German publisher as well. So we had a publisher in Germany. So super, that was kind of the driving force. And partly the interesting thing about Descent is that it was one of the triggers for all the spreadsheets, because I had to take it and flip it to book 1. I had so much to keep track of. So that was on my spreadsheet. So it kind of in a way helped with starting Fictionary.
Oh, neat.
So that's the blurb about Descent.
Okay, and one other thing that I am very interested in hearing about, maybe you can even show us a little bit. I've mentioned it, you've mentioned it doing this. I'm sure the audience is like, okay, we want to know something about this software. So how about you take a few minutes and describe the software any way you like?
I'd love to. So why don't I'm just going to show you the software. So now can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is actually in the software. This is my novel, Look the Other Way, which I pulled down from being published because I need it for examples all the time. So I thought, okay, I need that. So I use it continually in examples. So when you come into Fictionary, this is our software. This is the overview page. We've got basically a visualized page where you can see things like the story arc. So I'll let this draw. So this is the story arc. And when Fictionary imports a manuscript, it analyzes it and it pulls out your key plot points for you. And you can see in this story, my climax is a little bit late here, but I'm okay with it until I finish my revisions. And every time I update my manuscript, this updates for you.
Wow.
And then the other thing, it shows you very quickly what your word count per scene is. And so you can look for outliers. This here is, I've added a scene, but I haven't added any words yet. So it shows up as 0, but you can scroll across the whole book and look for, points where you think, why is this scene so long? I better look at it.
Yeah.
And so we have a whole bunch of insights, but basically we also have the 38 Fictionary story elements. What that is we've split it up to character, plot, and setting. Some of them are auto-filled for you. Some of them are drop-down menus. Fictionary, when you come in, it fills out your character list and adds your characters to scenes for you, so you can see who is in a scene. Point of view is interesting. It shows you how many points of view you have in a book. Here I have 4, but I only wanted 3. So I have to go and rewrite these scenes with this Charlie guy. Like, what was I thinking? I don't know. But when you write a book as you want. And now I'm tightening it up to bring it down to 3 characters. But it will show you all of the balance there. And what we're trying to do here, so you've got your character elements, then you have your plot elements, so you name every scene. It gives you an after draft outline that you can follow and find things very quickly. Purpose of a scene, very important, because you need to know why every scene is in a book. Opening, closing types is looking for patterns. So here you can see I'm heavy on the action for an opening type, a little lower here. Want to make sure my balance is okay and I don't have too many actions in a row, for example, where it'll tire out the reader. And action is shown by this little lightning strike, and you can look and go, oh, there's 3 there, but then I went to dialogue, so that's okay. And so you can really assess balance in your story, which we're also trying to help with. Plot gets a little harder because here you're looking at let's go to plot. You're looking at your entry hooks, exit hooks, tension, conflict, your scene middle, your climax. And this is really intended to help a writer. Here's where you can edit. So you can, you could type anything you want there. It doesn't matter. And the idea is to look at, well, do I have an entry hook here? Well, what is my entry hook? And so you review every scene against the story elements, and then you revise your scenes based on what you've marked yourself. And then the same goes for setting, where you want to put in what are your key objects and sights and smells, and do you have them? And I'll tell you, I wrote a whole book, put it in here, and realized I never used the sense of smell. That's because I hit my head about 15 years ago and I lost my sense of smell. But I didn't realize I never used smell. Never. I think,
Wow.
I need to work on that. But it was just oblivious to me. So it really showed me, okay, interesting, must do that. So that's the evaluate page. And then you can bounce back and forth between visualize and the evaluate page. And here on the visualize page, we've got character insights, which shows you, how many characters are in a scene. And here you're looking for outliers of, do you have any scenes with way too many characters? Scenes per character is looking at it the other way. And this shows me Shannon Payne has the most scenes, which is good because she's the protagonist in the story and she should. Also shows me my next two key players are next up, which is good. And it shows me just before the middle, I have a bunch of supporting characters coming in, which is pretty good. When you start getting later, like, why am I introducing this person? Darren's so late in my book. I should think about that. And you can also see I've got 34 characters, but sometimes you have way more. And you can then go and look, well, why do I have this Nancy character? Do I need to name her or not? You can start eliminating characters pretty quickly.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's a very quick overview of the software, but the real driving thing behind Fictionary is to give a writer a structured approach for editing their own story. It's to show them what they need to look at. It's meant as form, so not formula. It's meant to show guidelines of these are the things you need to know. And once you know them, do whatever you want, but do it for a reason, right? As opposed to just kind of doing stuff because you think it's better. And particularly the story arc is to show, okay, you've got the 5 scenes. Are they doing the right things? And are they in generally the right place? And if not, maybe that's okay, but why not, right? And so it's really meant to guide writers through and help them be creative. And what we find is people who go, entry hook, oh, I could do so much better in this scene. And then they get all creative and think of different entry hooks, which makes the book more exciting. So that's Fictionary in a nutshell with our goal. And yeah.
Well, we don't have time for a detailed look at the software, but boy, what you showed us is fascinating. The detail as far as the scenes per character. And I love the character arc or the story arc. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to put a link down in the description that goes to a page that pretty much outlines the entire software and gives anybody the option to get the software if they want it. Because
yes, or come to our community.
Yeah, come to the community no matter what. You'll love the community. And I believe you'll love the software too. It's pretty awesome. I love the detail that it has. You have a question? That software is ready to answer it, isn't it?
Yes.
Pretty darn
and if you can't find it there, then you ask in the community and some very educated person in story editing who will answer.
But the software is sort of like your guide to developmental editing. You can cover it all in that. That would be a really good first way to look at the software. Would that be accurate?
Yep.
From your point of view?
That's a great summary of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I got to tell you, it's been so much fun to do this episode. So much information and knowledge that not only, really impressed me, but I'm sure the audience is like, wow, I got to play this video back, because there's a lot of cool stuff. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. I know we're about to get cut off. So thank you. Really appreciate being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the community.
All right. I'll see you soon. Thank you for doing the show. I sure appreciate it so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Fictionary helps writers and editors create better stories faster with software, an online community, and training. I hope you've enjoyed episode 8 of Relax and Chat. There'll be a whole bunch of new stuff coming, so click that subscribe button, stick with me, and enjoy the show.